Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm talking about how colonialism have affected Africa and still affecting Africa today. So I have noticed that so many people have been noticing the imbalance and the way Africans normally treat foreigners. Especially I've seen so many black people from Jamaica, and I think even in Jamaica it's still the same thing, that like they treat the other races better than they treat the black people. So which brings me to, because the only way that I explain Africans and black people treating other races better than they treat themselves, they treat their own kind, our own race, the only way I explain it is because of the effects of colonization. So as we all know that colonization happened for so many years, and it went on for so many years, especially like in Africa. Like I was comparing, like for example, I was comparing Kenya to like the US, okay? And I know it sounds cliche to compare the two, but I have to say, like I was comparing my experiences. I was comparing my experiences as somebody who is born in who is born and I'm a Gen Z. So I was comparing my experiences and the experiences of people who were born in the 60s, okay, or even in the 50s, and I realized the experiences that I had, me as a Gen Z, were the same experiences that people in the US experienced in the 1900s. Can you just imagine being born, okay, you being a Gen Z, you're born in the 90s, late 90s, or maybe early 2000, just comparing and realizing that the life that you're living now is the same that other countries lived in the 1900s, okay? So we are not even the same at all. But then so the only reason that I explain how black people treat other races is the effects of colonialism. Colonialism was so brutal, and nobody wants to admit. Okay, people have admitted, and that's why there was the whole fight for independence. But nobody wants to admit that colonialism up to date still affects Africans. So let me bring it to you how it affects Africa. So first of all, most of the places that were developed by the white people, they're still the ones. Like take for example Kenya. Okay, Nairobi and Mombasa was developed during those days. Okay, not to the extent. Like for example, take Mombasa because of the beach. Mombasa was actually the capital city of Kenya for a very long time before they transferred to Nairobi. And the reason it was the capital city is because it was already developed by the white people and the colonizers, in this case people from the UK. It was already developed because they developed it because they were benefiting from the port in Mombasa. Okay, so of course that's why Mombasa is not very developed, because with time Nairobi caught up and all the investments now are being put to Nairobi. But so I bring up this point to say that like the areas that are developed were only the areas that were helping these colonizers. Okay, so you realize most of the other areas that these people did not get to, they are not developed at all, you know. So which makes Africa to be less developed up to date, because if back then they developed the areas in the same way, if they had equal distribution of resources from one area to another, which means African countries, that's why you realize, like if you come to Kenya, you realize some of the cities are doing good and others are not even at all. You would think you are in totally two different countries, even when you are in one country. So the other thing is, like, colonialism was so brutal and it affected the confidence of so many Africans, okay? And now the way they were affected is like they were made to feel like anything is better than being black, anything is better than being African, which is the thing that they have passed down from one generation to another. Because growing up, you would realize that the children that were lighter skinned, they used to have better treatment than the ones that were darker skinned. Why? Because even from our grandmothers, they have always passed down telling us like anything is better than being black, because they saw how the white man was living when they came to Africa. They were living a good life. They made good house. They had some dignity around them. Okay, they were not primitive. So for example, my grandfather used to give me stories about how he was working with a particular white man, and my grandfather was telling me the way he was describing to me the way the white man was living, and he was telling me that he used to have, like, he used to describe to me that the way he would be told to cook tea for the white person, and you would just see the way he would emphasize on the dignity even around the tea, how it would be well made, the type of food that he would eat, how he would like his meat. My grandfather emphasized that to me, and I was quick to realize that, like, he associated dignity with this person, which means this is the mentality around so many people who existed during those colonial days. And that's why they have passed down the thing of, like, anything is better than being black, which is how I feel colonialism still affects Africa today, through the mentality of the people who experience colonialism. So the other way that colonialism have affected Africa is because the system of colonialism was meant so that Africa always depends on these European countries. Okay, so that's why you realize, even with the production of all the raw materials that Africa is able to produce, from tea, coffee, macadamia, avocado, all of these things, Africa is not able to process them. We normally export them and then import them as already made products, which is really, really shameful. How like, it's like being able to make something but you don't have the end goal for it. Because, for example, when you're starting a business, you start the business and you think about how will I take care of it, and then you think where is the market, okay, how will I be able to process it so that I can take it to the market. And it's very, very shameful that we are growing all these things and we're not able to make them to be good products. We are not able to make them to be better products so that we can export them at a higher price and we can get more profits, which will in turn help us to develop our country. So it's really, really shameful that we cannot even process something for ourselves. We process some of the things, but most of the things we have to export them and then import them as already made goods. So the other way that colonialism is still affecting Africa today is that, like, so many colonizers are still in the country up to the moment. Look at tourism. Most of the investors, even in, like, for example, take an example of Kenya, most of the investors in Mombasa, in Kilifi, in Malindi, most of these investors are just still part of the people who colonized us. They are still here with us and they are still continuing to colonize our brains. They're still taking from us through their ability to buy the properties. I was seeing a video recently. There's somebody who had posted experiencing a very nice cave in, I think, Mombasa or Malindi. It was something of the sort, and I could see people in the comment section were saying it's just very, very shameful that the locals cannot even be able to go there, and others were coming with the response of, like, so what, if you have the money you can be able to access the place. But the thing is, my explanation is, like, these investors who are investing in these places, they are foreigners, so they are coming with a stronger money than the Kenya shillings, which means if you invest a lot of money, the rates of the place, let's say this person invested like 100,000 euros, okay, so that they can get their money back, they're going to charge still in euros. You cannot invest in euros and then charge in Kenya shillings. They will still charge in euros, which makes the Kenya shillings to be so weak. And also, like, so as the locals, you cannot be able to afford, because what will your 1 shilling do in comparison to the euro? So the fact that the colonizers are still here, I was so ashamed the other day when I saw that the Masai Mara, there is somebody who had built in Masai Mara in an area where the wild beasts normally use, the route that the wild beasts normally used to migrate from Serengeti in Tanzania to the Masai Mara. I was so ashamed to see those wild beasts, very, very confused, and just realizing that even that resort is not even owned by a Kenyan. It's not bad for the investors to come and develop our countries, but it's just very, very shameful that, like, our government is just still closing its eyes. People are coming from other countries, they're coming and they're interfering with the nature, they're interfering with who we are as a people, you know, they're interfering. For example, Kenya is known by, we are known for wildlife, we are known for all of these natural things. What do you mean, like, you just come and in the middle of the forest where these animals normally live, you build a luxurious resort that even the locals cannot even afford? So it's really, really shameful to see that our government is still enabling colonization, and colonization is still here with us. So the other factor, and also adding to that, like, near where I live, we have a very large, like, I'm not even saying 1 acre. I am saying over 5,000 acres of land that is still owned by the colonizers, but they have leased the land for, I think, 100 or 1,000 years. I don't know for sure, but so it's very really shameful that this land is also out of reach for the locals to be able to work on it, to be able to make money out of it. It's really really shameful. So the other thing, I think I've mentioned the mindset. First of all, the colonialists did a very good job making sure that Africans know that they are nothing, that they are not better, and also they have done a very good job telling the black people in other countries how Africans are primitive, how Africans are not good, because that's basically how they think about black people, you know. So the other factor in how colonialism is still affecting Africa. So as you can see, I am speaking in English right now. So colonialism made Africans lose their interest in their culture, okay? Like there was a lot of second guessing about, like, let's say so many people stopped teaching their children their mother tongues. So many people associate culture to being primitive, you know. And up to date, we are still using the colonial languages. We are still using English. We are still learning how to speak in Spanish. We are still learning how to speak in German. We still have all of these languages, Portuguese, all of these languages. They are still here with us, okay? And we are still using them. And the people who don't know how to use this language, they are considered to be primitive, you know? So I feel like the colonialism really destroyed the African culture. It destroyed the way Africans used to be proud in their own culture. And also people spreading the thing of like Africa is so poor, it's like a hole, it's like all of these things. It have made so many Africans, especially Africans who have migrated from African countries to other places, they have denied their motherland. They have said that, like, even if you ask them, they will be like, no, I'm not African. I have not been there for let's say, and I'm not even talking about the black people who have never been to Africa. I'm talking about black people who are African, because like, why would you want to be associated with a place with so many bad stories, with a place where everybody thinks that everyone is primitive, you know? So, and also the other way that the colonialism is still affecting Africa, there was the colonizers established borders in so many places, and they divided the tribes. They put borders even where, like, let's say you find, for example, in Kenya we have a tribe called Masai. We have Masais in Kenya, and we also have Masais in Tanzania. So the two groups were separated. They were separated. There was no need to be border between those two people. And also, like, the colonialism also made so many tribes not to agree with each other. For example, during the colonial times, we had the collaborators. I don't know, we had the people who collaborated with the white person, and we had the people who fought the white person. So you will find, like, tribes like Kikuyu did not collaborate with the white man. They denied the white man. And you find maybe other tribes like, I don't know, maybe like Bukusu, they collaborated, which means now the Kikuyu and the Bukusu become enemies. So the other thing that colonization did that is still lasts to date is like making the tribes in Africa not to agree with each other, to have hatred towards each other. And the other thing that they did, so I feel like I have to mention things. People know, and that's why you see so many people confusing Africa for a country. People know that the power of Africa is like in African uniting, to be one. Okay, the day that Africa will unite to be one, the day that, like, we will put our differences behind, the day that we will put our tribes behind, that is the day that, like, Africa will be powerful than all the other places. And this will bring a lot of respect to black people. But they know that. That's why they had to make sure that, like, these people hate each other. That's why they have to do anything to make sure that we never unite. So this is actually a call, okay? This is a call to you. If you're black, if you're African, especially if you're in, like, let's say places where we have a very huge number of, like, other races, just love yourself, okay? And by loving yourself is by treating somebody who looks like you well, okay? If you are a waiter in a resort, somebody who looks like you come, just treat them well. That shows that you love yourself, if anything, you know. Let us stop disliking each other. Let us stop disliking our language. And the other thing that I have to say is, like, for people with children, the people who are parents, stop telling your children that learning how to speak in your mother tongue is primitive. It's not primitive at all. If anything, it's power. There was this writer, his name was Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and I really liked his work, and I liked the way he denounced his English names, and he went with his local Kikuyu names. And every time that he would refer to himself, everybody would ask him, do you have an English name? And he would say no, okay? Because there's power. There's power in being African. There's power in being yourself. There's power in, like, seeing your community. Because if anything, like, let's say I can speak good English, I cannot be seen as anything else apart from me being African. I cannot be seen as anything else being Kenyan. So let us be proud of our roots, and all the people who are enabling hate towards black people, let us stop. Let us love ourselves. Let us be able to unite. And if anything, if you become a leader, if you are a young person who wants to become a leader, when you become a leader, do everything possible to make sure that Africa unites, because that's where our power lies. So thank you guys so much for staying with me, and until next time, bye bye.